Hi guys, today in this video, we will analyze one of the most intriguing episodes of the conflict in Ukraine. Why did Russia notify the United States 30 minutes before launching a new missile at the city of Dnipro? Additionally, we will explore the operation of the legendary Moscow-Washington Hotline, a direct communication line connecting the two largest nuclear powers on the planet, designed to prevent global disasters. In the early hours of November 21, 2024, the world witnessed a new chapter of tension in the Ukrainian conflict. Russia launched a devastating attack on Dnipro using an intermediate-range ballistic missile called the Oreshnik. This weapon, described by Vladimir Putin as cutting-edge experimental technology, was presented as a direct response to the use of US and UK-supplied arms by Ukraine in attacks on Russian territory. The Oreshnik represents more than just a new addition to Russia's arsenal. It is a milestone in the nation's military technological evolution, solidifying its deterrent capabilities in an increasingly tense global scenario. The choice of a ballistic missile over conventional weaponry sent a clear message. Russia aims to showcase its strength and establish boundaries, whether to intimidate adversaries or to bolster its stance in future negotiations. What truly captured attention during this attack, however, was the Kremlin's decision to notify the United States in advance. The communication was carried out through secure channels, adhering to protocols established during the Cold War to prevent misunderstandings that could lead to an uncontrolled escalation of the conflict. Why did Russia take this approach, especially when the US is Ukraine's primary military supporter? There are strategic reasons behind this decision. First, the notification emphasized that the attack was limited, targeted, and non-nuclear, aiming to avoid any interpretation that it was an escalation against the US or NATO. Second, it demonstrated that, despite rising tensions, Moscow recognizes the importance of maintaining a minimum level of dialogue with Washington to prevent global catastrophes. Since the war in Ukraine began in 2022, the conflict has become the epicenter of a new phase of tensions between Russia and the West. The US and NATO have provided continuous military support to Ukraine, which Moscow views as a direct provocation. The introduction of long-range weapons, such as ATACMS missiles, has further complicated the situation, prompting Russia to adopt more aggressive and symbolic measures, like deploying the Oreshnik. To understand the role of the Moscow-Washington Hotline, a direct communication link between the two nations, we must revisit the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, one of the most tense moments of the 20th century. During that episode, the United States discovered that the Soviet Union was installing nuclear missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles from US shores. Over 13 days, President John F. Kennedy and Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev exchanged tense messages as the world braced for the possibility of nuclear war. The crisis was resolved through an agreement that involved removing Soviet missiles from Cuba in exchange for an American promise not to invade the island, along with a secret commitment to withdraw US missiles from Turkey. However, the episode highlighted a severe issue. The lack of a direct communication channel between the superpowers nearly led to global destruction. It wasn't until June 20th, 1963, that the US and the Soviet Union formalized the creation of the hotline. Initially, the system used teletype machines connected through exclusive lines. Messages were sent as text, translated, and delivered, minimizing the risks of miscommunication. Over time, the technology evolved. Fax machines, secure emails, and more recently, satellite and fiber optic links have made communication faster and more reliable. Today, the hotline is monitored 24/7 by highly trained teams, with periodic test messages ensuring its functionality. Over the decades, it has been used during crises such as the Six-Day War in 1967 and the Yom Kippur War in 1973, as well as following the September 11, 2001 attacks. The relevance of the hotline today. While many questioned its necessity after the Cold War ended, tensions between the US and Russia have proven that it remains indispensable. During the conflict in Ukraine, similar channels have been used to prevent direct confrontations between Russian troops and NATO forces. However, modern challenges, such as the threat of cyber attacks, pose risks to the system's security. Both the US and Russia must ensure that the hotline remains impervious to hacks or interceptions. Nevertheless, the effectiveness of communication depends more on the political willingness of both sides to use it than on the technology itself. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the best news from the military and political world.